I'm joined now by two very able and educated gentlemen. To my immediate right is Honorable Wilson Sosion, who is an educator and a veteran in the education sector. Very good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Keitany, and good morning, our viewers.
Thank you very much for making time. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Yes.
Of course, next to Mr. Sosion is Mr. Bozaruku, who is a policy advisor with the Elimu Bora Working Group. Let me begin with you, Mr. Bozaruku. First of all, what are your expectations today? Because you are someone who's very passionate about the education sector and the welfare of students. So what are you expecting today?
Good morning, my brother Keitany, and good morning to Ndugu Sosion. It's been a while. And I think to the viewers, today is a good day, indeed, because when you have been taken through school, you have gone through one hurdle to the other. These candidates who are waiting for the results to be released are really anxious. But let me assure them that whatever they sowed, they are going to reap it today. And whatever they reap should not determine, should not be looked at like it is a life or death. It should be part of the transition to shape them into how they determine their next phase of life. But I also hope that based on how they were prepared, how they studied, the examinations done, they should be proud of themselves, because it's not easy to go through that cycle up to that level. And the results I only hope that we wouldn't be having challenges of the past. For instance, you remember last year, I think, when the exams were released, you know, the parents and the students, they quickly went to the portal to try to get the results. I hope the IT people are prepared, so that when now the results are released, then it becomes easier for everybody to access. So those glitches that were there, here and there, should not be arising. But also, I hope that we are not going to start seeing more ease. Mm-hmm. I've seen, CBC is coming with a different model of double E's, exceeding excellence. But with the KCSE and E,
it's a different story.
Is really frustrating. I hope we are not going to have that, because I think last year we had almost over 40,000.
48,300.
48,300 E's. And that, in fact, even as much as you want to motivate that student, that young one, the first thing is, you mean I am totally inadequate? So I hope that we will not be churning out such. I'm not saying that they should be given grades or marks that they do not deserve. Mm-hmm. But I just hope that the work that they put in is above the E, and that the preparations also for their transition to TVET, just tertiary level, universities and all, are also in top gear, and we are not waiting until last minute to start rushing left, right, and center.
Okay, before I engage Honorable Sosion, because I want to engage Honorable Sosion in regards to matters transition to the tertiary level. Mm. The assessment of how the ministry in itself, was prepared or handled the entire exam situation, because if you look at, for example, cases of malpractice, comparing to 2024, there were around 614 cases, but last year there were around 418 cases. How would you assess the entire, preparation and how the ministry was able to handle these particular examinations, this being one of the final cohorts of the 844 system?
I would say there's a little improvement, and let me not use the term little. There's some improvement, because again, when you say little, it means you are able to measure how that has progressed. But I would say there's some improvement. One, because as in the previous situations, this time I did not hear our Waziri coming up and talking to students like, these are suspected thieves, don't attempt to steal, Those kind of threats were gone. Two, the preparation in terms of distribution of exam materials and even supervision and all that, I think you could see that there was some raised level of coordination. you could also see that in terms of then having confidence amongst our teachers to do the supervision and coordination, there was some level of that confidence, to the extent that then you, I would say, you try to rejig that trust that Kenyans should be having in the teachers to deliver on this kind of thing. And even during the marking, this time I didn't hear of hula baloo or hue and cry from the markers. They were abandoned at the stations, or they were not paid, and I didn't hear. If there was, then I think they were addressed in time. So that kind of arrangement, and security, of course, definitely. I think I also didn't hear much. Of course, you know, the things which have now happened in a number of other areas, which are an attack on education. Okay. I think those should be addressed.
Fair enough.
But security, I think at the time, I would not be reporting any. I wouldn't remember one where there was such a serious attack.
Okay, fair enough. Honorable Sosion, let me come to you. First of all, I mean, earlier on I was talking to Nyakundi, who's on the education bet, and we're talking about the transition, because the government talks about 100% transition even from secondary school to the tertiary level. But at the end of the day, not all students either join universities or end up in TVETs. There's only a small number, despite the fact that last year we saw an upsurge in the number of students joining TVET compared to those joining universities. But what could be the root cause of, you know, students not being able to fully transition to tertiary levels, and what can be done?
I think we've got very poor policy frameworks around transition, and the country must be very intentional on this. The way we were intentional in 100% transition from primary to secondary. And I don't think a lot has gone into enforcing 100% transition from secondary to tertiary. And we can do it as a country. And the picture of these results, if I may comment about it, when I look at, of course, from the presidential press information that is already out, is that those with C+ and above are 270,000 out of 990. That is close to 30%. That means transition to university is actually one of the highest at the moment. That is very significant from these results that we have. And remember, Kaitan, when Matiang'i and Magoha came in with reforms that were mixed grill with stopping examinations, cheating, and also releasing raw results without moderation. Okay. That was a very serious attack on the transition to universities and stifling of universities, which up to the moment they've not recovered from funding because of the collapse of Module 2. And I think gradually over time, this administration, the administration of President William Ruto, has actually been very keen in ensuring that the examinations are fair to students and respond effectively to transition. That I can vote. And when you look at 270,000, this is a significant number. And that is 30% transition to universities. And what remains, the 70%, should be 100% transition to all the other tertiary institutions. And I think we must be deliberate as a country. Okay. When we talk of taking the country to the first world, we must link it to the national vision of the country. To do that, okay, it is done through the human resource. The human resource are our students, and not a segment of them or a percentage of them, but 100% of them. What we are talking about is equipping all the youth of this country, all the students, with knowledge and skills. Knowledge, skills, and competencies. Knowledge, skills, and competencies. This can only be done if they are all transited to different cadre of tertiary institutions, ranging from village polytechnics, TVET institutions, other diploma colleges, and universities. So I think what we should be talking about, okay, we should not be talking about counting the number of E's. E is a score that the lowest learner can score. And A is a score. And there's a range of scores from E's to A's. So what we should talk about is not about the numbers at the various grade level. We should talk about transiting all these learners to existing learning institutions. And that is what I've said. We've got a very poor policy framework in terms of 100% transition from Form 4.
Okay.
And I think this is what we need to focus on as a country, so that we are not bothered about the scores.
Fair enough.
We are more bothered about transiting every learner and opening opportunities for every learner.
Should we focus should we rather focus on the number of students or students transitioning 100% over, the quality of students that, transition, or the quality of students that we produce? Because at the end of the day, no parent would want to see the students score grade E. Every
When
parent
you talk
out
of
there
quality,
hopes. I mean, at the end of the day,
quality in terms of human resource and human beings, we are gifted differently. That is a fact of psychology and a fact of science. And we come with different skills. So we cannot look at the youth of this country and the students as commodities in terms of quality. All of them are of good quality and aptitudes. It's solely that their abilities are different. Those who are scoring A's, their abilities are strong and tailored for specific courses. Those who have scored E's, they have capacities because they've completed a 4-year education cycle, and they've been certificated for attending classes, and therefore they are capable of taking at least a certain basic course, whether at certificate level or at craft level.
Okay.
They are able to do it. And so the philosophy of education is that all learners can fall in the different pathways of training within, because pathways are not new things. They've been here.
Okay.
Because there is the certificate pathways,
Fair enough.
the diploma pathways, the degree pathways, and so the scores will guide in placement.
okay, fair.
And scores are not meant to condemn.
Fair enough.
And when you use the word quality, it means you have low quality and high quality. What we have are scores.
Fair enough.
We've got those who score highly and those who score low.
Fair
so
enough.
high scores and low scores is what is used humanly in terms of students. But you don't use quality.
Fair enough.
The moment
Before
you use
you go
the term
back,
quality,
I know-
then you are
I know-
commoditizing
I know.
the student.
Fair enough. I know. Mr. Rook wants to say something in regards to that.
Please. I wanted just to put this in context.
What should the focus be?
The focus right now, as we are looking at the results, definitely, I think my brother will agree with me, my brother Susio, that performance is an indicator. Even the teachers themselves, they'll be looking at how many of my students have acquired those top grades. It is natural. And indeed, even then, before we look at how do we then arrive at, okay, this student have scored that highly, were they treated fairly or in a way that they could? Because then you must be dealing with parameters of quality. The teacher, you're dealing with the infrastructure, that is just the environment, that learning environment where some of these learners were. If the schools, for instance, which did not have the requisite equipment, the requisite infrastructure, the laboratories and all, and then you are expecting, because the exam was the same, those that were highly equipped and those that probably did not even have that equipment. I think that is an indication for us that there's something that requires to be done. In fact, I would be thinking that at this particular moment, we would be asking ourselves, the various agencies that have been created by law, what is the roles that they are trying to do in helping us out. For instance, an agency like the Educational Standards and Quality Assurance Council should have been coming in now to be telling us that now, when you see these results, they are results that are coming from this background. In terms of the teachers, it was adequate or not adequate. In terms of infrastructure, it was adequate or not adequate. In terms of the learning and teaching materials that the teachers utilized in those areas, they'll also objectively assess that. Unfortunately, some of those agencies are now moribund, including National Education Board, which should be helping us really to keep track of this. So we do not want a situation where we start celebrating ease. I hope that is not what my brother would imply. No, but I'm also saying that we cannot be celebrating less than 25% a transition to the university as an achievement. Just in the South Africa, as we speak now, the metric results had over 80% pass rate that could access the universities. In other words, we should not use this. I'm happy he used Matiang'i and Magoa. You remember Magoa's famous quote, that getting a B is okay. Of course it is okay to get a B, but the peak performance of an individual is important. Why should you punch below your weight when you can punch at the A level?
Okay.
That is something that we must redirect our conversation on and encourage each and every learner to be able to reach the peak, not that anything that they get is okay. I think that is where I would be scoping it from.
I know also Sosien talked about how the government has ensured that the assessment is fair. I don't know whether you are also trying to say it was a bit unfair before, but even as you respond to that, I want to know your sentiments, both of you, in terms of the new grading system, because CS Ogamba last year said the results had improved because of the new grading system, whereby they use two mandatory subjects to compute the main grade, compared to the earlier system where they'd use 5 subjects from different clusters. Do you think that has indeed attributed the upsurge in number of students who scored good grades last year, and as much as over 450,000 scored D+ and below?
Okay, Tanya, I would like to tell the country that we have one of the best examining bodies, if it is allowed to do its professional work. And that is the tragedy we fell into in 2016 by the minister taking over and directing the grading, actually literally taking over the work of NEC. NEC is a measurement and evaluation institution manned by professionals and headed by a CEO. In fact, we have one of the best CEOs in the region and in the continent. Here in Kenya, manning Kenya National Exams Council. And any continuous improvement to make the grading and examinations fair to learners, and I use the word fair, just like the way I was using the word scores on learners, not quality, scores. But when you talk about general outcomes, then you apply the word quality.
Okay.
So I think any continuous improvement to manipulate and allow combination of subjects that gives a fair grade to the learner is the right thing, because that will pick the subject that they've done very well to define even the pathway, the career pathway they are likely to pursue, or which the cluster of subjects can define the level of aptitudes and competencies to join a particular pathway. So that correction is very progressive because it guides learners even towards their pathways, and it makes their work easy. So I think from my professional background of measurement and evaluation, exams are not supposed to exist to condemn learners. They exist to assist learners to transit to the right placement. That is the philosophy of the whole thing. But then, using exams to measure the quality of education outcomes is a different conversation altogether. Where now the quality assurance and standards, they must come in to tell us why less than 30% transition to universities. What is it that was missing in our school system? Is it infrastructure? Is it the teacher preparation? Is it the availability of teachers? Is it availability of quality and learning tools? So, but I think insofar as the rights of children who set exams are concerned, I stand that the country must have a policy of transiting all of them, because anyway they've done their exams, they have been graded the way they have been graded. Then we should move to the next phase and then to evaluate and look at the outcomes, what these outcomes means in terms of quality. And of course, compared to other jurisdictions, compared to previous years, and what the country should do. And this, I agree with both. The standards and quality assurance, which has been moribund in this country, should be able to do its work and should be able to give feedback to every school.
Now,
this is now the moment when the school inspection should begin, because the final critical results will be in every school today. So from next week, schools should be able to analyze their results, subject by subject, look at their scores, look at their strengths as schools, and look at their weaknesses, look at the gaps, and this is where the quality assurance should be moving around schools to discuss these outcomes. And where regions and leaders should be able to discuss the education outcomes. What does it mean in terms of quality? Say county by county. What is the transition rate to universities? Is it fair to them? Is it good for their learners? What is it that they should do? What are the gaps that exist from school to school? And this is where Kaitan,
briefly,
I believe this country and the Ministry of Education should now devolve their activities direct to schools. And we should be able to monitor the programs, the intervening programs in school, particularly in 3 different areas. We must have a policy framework on upgrading our schools' infrastructure through the vote that is existing on capitation, because it is infrastructure that facilitates learning. It is infrastructure that gives quality laboratories, quality classrooms, quality fields, quality theaters, particularly when you're talking about senior secondary. That is one component of investment, and there must be a national policy framework to drive upgrading of quality school infrastructure as we move to the country to the first world. So that investment program must exist in school. That is number 1. Number 2, quality teaching and learning tools. It is not magic that students score A's. The students who score A's have been taken through classroom teaching using quality teaching and learning resources. And schools and teachers who have spent and invested in quality teaching and learning resources and taken learners through such are those who are scoring the best grades. And we need this to happen. The good scores should happen in every school. So the investment in quality teaching and learning tools. And then lastly, 3 areas of investment. The 3rd area of investment is teachers, which the government has done, to deploy adequate teachers. And this is a continuous process. So quality education equals to quality infrastructure, quality teaching and learning tools,
we'll come to that,
and quality teachers. So these are the things that the country and leaders in the sector must reflect upon as we get these results.
Pretty much.
But as for the rights of the learners, the scores they have scored